Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Trinadapi Sunichena Torariva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Nama Kevalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatiranyata. Next month, I will recite, as I do every year, the 700 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita in the ISKCON temple in Los Angeles. Every year, they do the Bhagavad Gita Mahayagya. So for each and every verse, we offer the grains in the fire for each verse. And I have the service of leading the chanting. So in order to prepare and get in the mood, tonight I want to speak on a very powerful poem. This poem is entitled Gita-mahatmyam by Sri Shankara-acarya. Those who study the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, my spiritual master, they understand that this Shankara-acarya is actually Shambhu, Lord Shiva, coming in a particular disguised form. And although Shankara-acharya was the leader of the Mayavad Sampradaya, the purpose of which was to drive out Buddhism from India, that was his mission given to him by Krishna. Still, Shankara-acharya is Lord Shiva, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. The Srimad Bhagavatam states at the very end that the greatest devotee, the greatest Vaishnava is Lord Shiva himself. Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. So it is not a surprise that Sri Shankara-acharya would write a glorification of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So, I've already offered my obeisances to my spiritual master, chanting his pranam mantras. And I have recited my two favorite mantras, which teach me humility, which teach me tolerance, respect to all living entities, and the essence of all Vedic teachings, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam. Chant the holy name, Hari. Chant the holy name, Hari. Chant the holy name, Jai. So let us get in proper consciousness. My spiritual master teaches, before speaking, to 3 times recite the 12-syllable mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this is written in Sanskrit, but my spiritual master has provided a very nice translation. Gita Shastram Idang Punyam Yapathet Prayatak Puman Vishno Padam Avapnoti Bhaya Shokadi Varjita. One who with a regulated mind recites with devotion the scripture known as Bhagavad Gita, which is the bestower of all virtue, will attain to a holy abode such as Vaikuntha, the residence of Lord Vishnu himself. And that Vaikuntha is always free from mundane qualities which are based on fear and lamentation. So there are several points in this first shloka. Regulated mind. Those of you who have studied Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 6, Krishna points out, your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. The mind that is under control, that mind becomes your best friend. But when the mind is let loose and is uncontrolled, then your very mind becomes your worst enemy. In all yoga practices, doesn't matter which yoga, the first item, control the mind and senses. If you're practicing yoga, but they are not teaching you to practice mind and sense control, you're being cheated. Yoga means, first order of business, control the mind and senses. But then he says, how to recite this Bhagavad Gita with devotion. Because Bhagavad Gita is non-different than Krishna on the altar. Those of you, I'm sure some of you have been to a Sikh temple where they have the big book. I've been in Panama and other places. I've been to Gurudwaras. And I was very impressed. They have the big grunt on a nice altar, and somebody is fanning. Just like when we do arti, we fan Krishna. They understand, yes, that book is non-different. So, because Bhagavad Gita is spoken by this Krishna, it is as good as Krishna. So let's say in your house, you don't have murtis. But if you have Bhagavad Gita, you could do arti and offer everything to Bhagavad Gita. Because it is as good. So, recite with devotion. 3 times in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna clearly says, Bhaktya, Bhaktya. If you want to see me, you need bhakti. If you want to understand me, who I am, you require bhakti. If you want to come, who wants to go and be with Krishna? Then Krishna says, you have to have bhakti. So when we approach Bhagavad Gita, there must be love and devotion. Now he says, bestower of all virtue. So, just by reading the Bhagavad Gita, you get the results of pious activities. You get virtues by performing pious activities. Bhagavad Gita is the supreme pious activity. So you will get your virtues. And then he says, and if you do this in your next life, you will go to the spiritual world, not this material world. You have all seen on the television what's happening just north of here. Raging fires. The TV said the fire was going the length of one football field every, was it second or minute? So fast, wiping out. So that's the nature of this material world. Kunta, anxiety. They say there are over 1,000 people missing. Not very far from here. Perhaps you have friends or relatives there. I have friends that I usually see every year at Thanksgiving. I don't know if some of them are going to be there. So this material world, kunta loka, anxiety. But the abode of God, Vaikunta. Anxiety is conspicuous by its absence. And the goal, why we study Gita, why we come to temple, is to go to that abode. And as Bhagavad Gita says, having gone there, you don't come back. You go on a vacation, you go to some nice place, maybe you go to Bali or Hawaii, or you go to India to see family. But after some time, you have to come back. But Krishna says in Gita, if you attain my abode, you don't come back. Let's go now to verse number 2. Gita dhyayana shilasya pranayama parasya cha naiva santi hi papani purva janma kritani cha. If one reads Bhagavad Gita very sincerely and with all seriousness, then by the grace of the Lord, the reactions of one's past misdeeds will not act. Just see this second stanza. Shankara-acarya pointing out the major benefit, one of the major benefits of simply reading Bhagavad Gita. But the qualification, sincere and serious. Because Bhagavad Gita is not like some novel like Harry Potter or some magazine story. No, it requires study. It requires that one approach sincerely, serious. But by the grace of the Lord, all your reactions to misdeeds, and we have a stockpile of misdeeds that we have performed, not just in this life, millions of lives. But if you read Bhagavad Gita, all that is wiped clean. It's like having a debt. Say you're in debt, so you need somehow to clear that debt. So we have a karmic debt. I was reading yesterday the final chapter of the Mahabharata, when Yudhishthira and Draupadi and the Pandavas are ascending the mountain to go to heaven. And one by one, Draupadi falls, Nakula falls, Arjuna falls, and Bhima's asking, why? Why? And then Yudhishthira explains, yes, Draupadi had this fault, Nakula had this fault, Sahadev had this fault, Arjuna had a fault, and then Bhima fell. And as Bhima was dying, he said, what's my fault? And what did Yudhishthira say? Yes, my brother, you were known as Vrikodara. You loved to eat, but you didn't care about anybody else eating. For that mistake, you had to fall. And then, finally, the dog that was following them turned out to be Yamaraj. He was testing this Yudhishthira, his son. And Yamaraj said, everybody in this world is committing some kind of sinful activity. And for that, they have to see hell. So we better clean up. We better read Bhagavad Gita. My advice, every day. And Shankara-acarya is going to point out the same. I won't spoil it. All right, let's go to verse number 3. Maline mochanang pungsang jalasnanang dine dine sakrit gitamrita snanang sangsara malanashanam. Yes, it's logical, the next verse. Shankara-acarya says, one may cleanse oneself daily by taking bath in water. But if one takes a bath even once in the sacred Ganges water of Bhagavad Gita, the dirt of material life is altogether vanquished. So it's in the prayer of Lord Chaitanya, Sarvatma Snapanam, the last benefit of chanting Hare Krishna, Sarvatma Snapanam, chanting the Maha Mantra like we do at the end of the lecture, right? We chant one mala. So Lord Chaitanya says this chanting of the Maha Mantra is Sarvatma Snapanam, the bathing of the self. Here, look at what Shankara-acarya is saying. You once read this Bhagavad Gita, you are cleansed. But what's my problem? You all know, what does the elephant do after taking a bath? What does it do? It again puts dust on its body because being clean is like uncomfortable for the elephant. That's what we're doing. We read Bhagavad Gita, we cleanse ourselves, and then in the next 5 minutes, again, we commit some sinful activity. That is our problem. So that's why I recommend read Bhagavad Gita, chant Hare Krishna every day. I was not raised Hindu, so I come from different religious training. So in the religion I was raised, you went to church once a day. Not once a day, once a week. Once a week. But we should be going to church every day. Some of you I know come here every day. Am I right? Some of you? But that's okay. You can read Bhagavad Gita every day. That's as good as going to church, coming to temple. Text number 4. Gita sugita kartavya kimanyai shastra vistarai yaswayang padmanabhasya mukha padmad vinisrita. Because Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Supreme personality of Godhead. One need not read any other Vedic literature. He's saying that this Bhagavad Gita is sufficient. One need only attentively and regularly hear and read Bhagavad Gita. In the present age, people are so absorbed in mundane activities that it is not possible for them to read all the Vedic literatures. 4 Vedas, 18 Puranas, 108 Upanishads, Mahabharata, Ramayana, Vedanta Sutra. That's thousands and thousands of shlokas. But what is Shankara-acarya saying? He understands in modern day, people don't have time. This one book, Bhagavad Gita, suffices. Because, now here is the point. Why is he making this claim? Here's the reason. It is the essence of all Vedic literatures. Therefore, another name of Bhagavad Gita, Gita-upanishad. And another nice verse is coming up where Shankara-acarya is going to give you a nice meditation. So for now, he's saying, this one book, Bhagavad Gita, suffices. It is the essence of all Vedic literatures. And especially because it is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word is Bhagavan Uvacha. Every so often in the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, God says. Not I say or you say, no, God. After all, it's called Bhagavad Gita, the song of God. Everybody's got a song. So why not God? Why can't he have a song? He does. It's called Bhagavad Gita. Bharatamrita sarvasvang Vishnu Vaktrad Vinisritam Gita Gangodakang Pitva Punar Janmana Vidyate. By drinking the Ganges water of the Gita, the divine quintessence of the Mahabharata, emanating from the holy lotus mouth of Lord Sri Krishna, one will never take rebirth in the material world again. In other words, by devotionally reciting the Bhagavad Gita, the cycle of birth and death is terminated. So, when we get the opportunity, we take Ganga Jal or we put it on our heads and we become purified. But Shankara-acarya is saying Bhagavad Gita is also as good as Ganga Jal. He says it's the quintessence. So, the Mahabharata, all those chapters of the Mahabharata, Vyasadeva says the actual purpose of the Mahabharata is to come to Bhagavad Gita. That's what you find out in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the first canto, it is stated that Vyasadeva compiled Mahabharata, but the real target is to get the reader to come to Bhagavad Gita. Because the Bhagavad Gita is spoken just before the battle. Mahabharata has 2 sections. Before the battle and then the battle. So just before the battle, Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita. One will never take rebirth in the material world again. That's why I read Bhagavad Gita. That's why I look forward to every year when we do the Bhagavad Gita Mahayagya. Because what am I doing? I am guaranteeing no rebirth in the material world. This is my favorite verse of the whole Gita-mahatmyam. My favorite. Sarvo pashanado gavo dugda gopalanandana paratavatsa sudir bhokta dugdang gitamritang mahat. Now this, you envision this. Try to envision this now. All the Upanishads are like a cow. So as I said, there's 108 Upanishads. All of them are like a cow. And the milker of that cow, Sri Krishna Govinda. Who better to milk? Krishna's expert cowherder boy. So all the Upanishads are a cow. Krishna is milking. And what is the milk? Bhagavad Gita. That's the milk. And the cow gives milk in the presence of the calf. So the calf is Arjuna. Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. Krishna is giving the milk of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. And because Vyasadeva put it in the Mahabharata, here we are well over 5,000 years later, reaping the benefits of Bhagavad Gita. I was mentioning this last night. I was doing a program in Kundan Kumar's home last night. And I was mentioning, we were reading some sections from the Bhagavatam. And we were reading how this Vedic knowledge is so important, so special, that it can deliver one from the evil effects of the age of Kali. So, who will take advantage of this nectar? Says here, fortunate devotees of fine theistic intelligence. Yes, Bhagavad Gita is for the devotees. You are all devotees. If you weren't a devotee, you wouldn't walk through the doors. You'd be home doing something else, watching TV. But because you're devotees, you're here. And you're drinking. But how are you drinking? Through the ear. You're drinking the nectar of Bhagavad Gita through your ear. So Bhagavad Gita is for you. So the point I made last night, the sun in the sky is not owned by the United States or Russia, or not even India. The sun is independent. The sun is for everyone. So last night in Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami was saying that this knowledge of Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita is for everyone. It's for everyone. I was not raised Hindu, but I read and love Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because it's for everyone. It's for the eternal soul. And the soul is not Hindu or Christian or Muslim or Jew. No. One kind of soul. Spirit soul. The particle of sun ray has the same qualities as the sun planet. There's no difference. The difference is potency. You don't want the sun planet in your morning room, do you? Early in the morning you open the windows, the sun rays come in, not the sun planet. Right. So, the soul is a sun ray emanating from Krishna. The soul has all the qualities of Krishna to minute degree. That's the difference. Krishna is Vibhu, all-powerful. We, Anu, atomic. Sorry. We're just little God. Little. Krishna is all-powerful. Ekang shastrang devaki putra gitam, eko devo devaki putra evo, eko mantras tasya namani yani, karmapyekam tasya devasya seva. So this is the final verse of Shankara-acharya's Gita-mahatmyam. Now, Shankara-acharya is making now some bold claims. I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot. You have a problem, you know where to go. Shankara-acharya says, there need be only one holy scripture, the divine Gita.